Okay, I'm answering a question today that I've been asked a couple different times, so I thought it'd be a good time to answer. And that is, I find myself either pushing back my meal times or eating based off of times of day. So, I won't eat before 10 a.m., or I find myself, I'll eat a tiny bit during the day, but then most of the food I'm eating is at night. And there's a few different reasons why that's happening, and we'll talk about them. There's one major reason that if we can kind of address, we can make some progress. But a couple of those reasons that we're okay with eating more food at night would be one, if you're allowing yourself to eat a certain amount of food each day, and it's not a lot of food, and it's not a lot of food, and you know that you're barely just getting by off of that amount of food. If you were to spread that out throughout the day, you'd be starving. If you don't eat and you don't feel any hunger signals, and then finally night comes and you can have that amount of food that you let yourself eat in a day, you know that you might be able to feel somewhat satisfied, or maybe a tiny bit full, or perhaps a lot full, depending on how much you allow yourself to eat at night. But knowing that you can have that to look forward to during the day, that you at least will have one time during the day where you can sit down and just eat what you like, or eat, these things that you've been waiting to eat all throughout the day. Even eating things that scare you. Even in recovery, when people are like, oh, I started eating this and this and this, when are you eating them, is what I'll ask these clients of mine. When are you eating these things? Well, at night, like after my kids go to bed, or I like to eat them right before I go to sleep. And I just know that most likely, it's fine if you eat them right before you go to sleep, but are you eating them during the day? Most likely the reason that you're saving those treats at night is because you'll let yourself eat it, get somewhat satisfied, and then you'll go to sleep and you won't wake up or be constantly thinking throughout the rest of the day that you want more of that. And then you also know you're going to sleep for, X amount of hours. So when you wake up, it's almost kind of like a reset button, or okay, you can start your day now. However, all of these reasons, pushing back your meal times, eating according to times, all of this is stemming from a fear of weight gain, really. Oftentimes I ask someone, like, eat breakfast earlier. I know, but if I eat breakfast earlier, then I'm going to be hungrier before lunchtime. So then eat more food. Well, I'm afraid if I eat more food, I'm going to gain weight. Like, they'll actually say that. And that's very, it's not surprising, because that's what an eating disorder is. But we have to overcome that fear of weight gain. But we don't overcome that fear of weight gain before we start eating. I've never met anyone that's like, I'm not afraid to gain weight anymore. I think it's time to start eating unrestrictedly. That's not how it works. You have to start eating unrestrictedly while you're terrified of weight gain. You can be terrified, like rather die than gain weight. That type of scare, like you can be that scared of weight gain. But you have to start eating unrestrictedly, because the more we're restricting, the more that we are teaching our brain that gaining weight is a bad thing. It's to be avoided. So as you start eating and you come out of restriction, that fear of weight gain comes down. And I remember hearing that from Tabitha when I started my recovery, and like, I don't understand that. I can't even comprehend what you're saying. I don't see how that's going to happen. I just think if I gain weight, I'm be even more scared of weight gain, And initially when my body started changing and I started gaining weight, I was terrified. Maybe I will say the fear of weight gain maybe even increased some. But as I kept eating and getting myself out of that restrictive mindset, and I was nourishing my body consistently and listening to my mental hunger, and just really like accepting this process, I did find it took a while. It took a lot of really scary, just every day kind of going off of blind faith. Like, I hope this is going to work, because I'm so scared. But eventually I remember like the first day I thought it, but I was like, what was I afraid of for so long? Like, what was so scary? I mean, it was a very uncomfortable experience to go through, but there was nothing that I felt like would have been worth restricting for so long once I actually experienced what that felt like. In our head, we imagine it to be just the worst thing in the world, and our lives will fall apart, and that's all we're good at is restricting and all these things. But honestly, it was such a good feeling to have when I was like, actually, I'm not as afraid of gaining weight. And you get from there to, I actually don't care what size I am. I'll never restrict again. I have no temptation to ever restrict again. If I'm hungry and it's not lunchtime and I've had a big breakfast, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to eat more for lunch because I don't have rules. I don't have certain amounts of food that I can eat, and that's what recovery is all about. And so you have to live the life that you want to live when you're recovered right now. So when you're recovered, do you want to be looking at a clock, wondering, like being hungry and looking at a clock and be like, ooh, it's not lunchtime yet, I can't eat? Or I'm so hungry, but I already ate breakfast. So, or I really want a cookie, but I'm gonna save it for tonight. That's not recovery at all. That's not recovery. And so if you continue to do those things in your recovery, nothing is going to change. You have to make the changes before you're going to see that fear of weight gain go down. And I can't emphasize that enough. I really mean that. We also have to change. You may not be able to stop the thoughts. You may not be able to decide, like, I'm not going to have any more thoughts about my body or being afraid to gain weight, but you can change your reaction to the thoughts. So your reaction to those thoughts is you eat something. So eventually, every time you have the thought you eat something, your brain's going to be like, me telling her that she's, gaining weight so fast and she's going to be obese her whole life, and, she's losing control and she's never going to stop eating, all these things. Every time your brain says that, or you get that thought, you go and eat something, you see how it's not gonna make any sense anymore. And eventually those thoughts are gonna stop coming. But you have to show that those thoughts are not important anymore by your actions. And I wish so badly I had like really good tips for you as to how like you can actually do that, other than that you just have to start doing it. That's all there is to it. There's no secret potion or magical, equation that's going to get you to suddenly like feel like you can do this because you're not afraid of weight gain anymore. It just doesn't happen that way. So for those that are very, very brave and committed and very, very, I want to use the word tenacious. I feel like you have to get tenacious in your recovery. You have to take it very, very seriously and recognize that it is going to be something that is going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel like you're doing something wrong. It's going to feel, some people, and I myself even felt like I feel like I'm sinning when I eat this much food. It just feels so wrong. But as soon as you start breaking these habits of pushing back meals, eating late at night, and watching the clock when you eat, and the way you do that is by allowing yourself unlimited amounts of food. It's the only way. So if you think, okay, I'm going to start pulling what I'm eating at night to the day, but you're not adding any more food, well, you're still restricting, so you want more food than that. And so it's really just accepting unrestricted eating, accepting that you have fear of weight gain, but you're going to do it anyways. So I hope that helps. And this is a topic that I'm asked frequently, and I think people are looking for answers from me being like, oh yeah, this is how I overcame my fear of weight gain before I started recovery. And that just doesn't happen. It takes a lot of work before you get there. So good luck.